Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another Ask Me session. This will be the 8th for our series in summer 2022 cohort of the Hamoye Data Science Internship. Obina, you're welcome. Ayoba Midele, you're welcome. So I'm guessing we have questions. Without wasting time, can just shoot. So I'm probably guessing also that today's session might be short because we're preparing and trying to come up with our premier project. So I guess that's it. Okay, Obin, I have a question. You can just shoot.
All right, thank you. Hello, good afternoon.
Definitely, you're very welcome.
The first question I want to ask is concerning the tag-along project.
Okay.
Please, I want to know if proper commenting of one's code do affect the score in the tag-along project, or is it like just that the code ran and gave the appropriate results?
Okay. You doing proper commenting on the code, it doesn't affect the score or whatever. But we still advise that you still comment on your code, what particular code what your code is doing, like what are you trying to solve with the code. But it doesn't affect you negatively or otherwise. So, but it's good you comment on your code. And also not just dropping the code. So far you run the code and we see what the code does, because I saw some code some person submitted, they just submitted just the code without running the cell. So you can't expect somebody to guess what that code will do. So it's better as you are running the code, also run the code and show the workings and the results of what your code does. So that's that. I hope I've answered that question.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, very welcome. And also, to clear the air for those that might still have this question concerning the scores they saw. The scores posted earlier on was for that of stage A, not stage B. Stage B is not done yet, so it was out of stage A. And to those that can't find their tag along code score, there are several reasons for that. One, if you submitted that wrong submission, for example, if you're supposed to submit a GitHub repo containing your notebook, but you didn't do that. If you copied codes, because there are some persons who notice the copy code, so grades won't be awarded to those. And also, if some person just submitted their local host Jupyter file, I saw something like that, that wasn't hosted on GitHub, so that would be seen as a wrong submission. And also, if some submitted their Collab notebook directly from Collab, that won't be accepted. And also, if you submitted a Python file, some person submitted a Python file, of which you're supposed to submit an IPYMB file, which is a notebook. So that will be seen as wrong. And even if you submitted the notebook and it was just the code without running the codes in the cell blocks to see what's happened or what your code is doing, it's also going to be marked as a wrong submission. So that's just what I want to say about that. I'm sorry, before starting, I didn't say my name. Somebody was asking my name in the last session. My name is Christian Ajulo. I'm data scientist and assistant program coordinator at Hamoye. So let me just get that off the air. So any other question related to the project, the code? And also I saw a question, somebody else was asking if you can submit the same repo. Yes, of course, you can submit the same repo. So far, what you pushed to that repo, the naming are rightly named as a convention. For example, if you are doing for stage B and there's a stage A there, just name the notebook stage B. Of course, we can always access it, and it should be a public repository. So that's an answer to that. So any other question? Any other question? Today's session would not be an hour. It would be like a 30 minutes session.
Okay. Please, one more question.
Okay.
The score in the tag along project, what should we take as the actual score? Is it the average of both the quiz and the tag along and the score for tag along project? Is it the average that should be the risk score, or I don't know? Because
Okay.
you people say that the pass mark for each stage is, I think, 60%.
Yes.
So
Okay.
what will
Okay.
I
Let me
do?
explain that. For this stage A, since stage A was like a general stage and course for each track, so it will be graded over 200, meaning your quiz was 100, then tag along code 100, then the average of both of them to give you a total of 100 too. So if, for example, you had 90 in your quiz, then you also had 90 in the tag along code. So that should be 180, then divided by 2, that's 90. So your grade for stage A was 90%. Then moving on to stage B, if you're in a data science track or data engineering track, you will also be doing the quiz and the tag along code. So it will be like that. Then, for example, at the end of stage B, after the scores were done, you had, let's say you still had 90. So your grade for stage A was 90, your grade for stage B was 90. Then you will now do a cumulative score of your stage A and stage B. That's 90 plus 90, that's 180. Then average it also. So as you're progressing forward, the scores will be done, will be cumulated. So at the end of the internship, plus your attendance to important webinars, premium projects, capstone projects, and every other thing will tell you that are important for the deliverables. At the end of the day, everything will be graded to 100%. So then after that, if you have a 60% cumulative grade, you will have your Harmony Fellowship certificate. If not, you won't. But for each stage, if you notice in each stage, the course in the quiz, if you have higher 60% or higher, you have a certificate for that course that's in that stage. But if in the quiz you scored a lesser grade, you won't be given a certificate for that course in that stage. So do you understand me?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
So please, can you throw more light on what it means to be a Hamoye Fellow? That is, without getting the certificate, what it really means to be a Hamoye Fellow.
Okay. Like I said, it's just the name we call it in Harmony. You at the end of the internship, if you qualify for all the deliverables and all, you have your Harmony certificate. Excuse me. Then you being a fellow is that you are like part of the Harmony. How would I put it? Harmony team, kind of that. Any information will have you be firsthand to know about it, be it job opportunities, seminars we'll be having, any form of opportunity at all, you'll be added to our list, being the Harmony Fellow. So those are the benefits of being a Harmony Fellow, that's having the certificate at the end of the day, not just getting certificates. You also have access to first-hand information from Harmonies and their partners. So that's the benefit of you being a Harmony Fellow and getting certificates.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're very welcome. So any other question, Obina?
Anyway, there is this issue that have been bothering me, concerning the what is it called? The compulsory webinars. Sometimes, like this afternoon, I planned to attend. I determined to attend this Ask Me session, but along the line, it was around 12:01 or so. MTN network disappeared in my area. I use MTN for browsing. In fact, all my SIM card is MTN. I don't have another network I had. I stopped using it for a long time. So it didn't disappeared. So at the point, I just needed to switch off my phone until later on I put it on and the network appeared again. Now, if something like that had happened on the day of the compulsory webinar, So I don't know. At the end of the day, I'll miss it, and definitely I will not be judged or penalized for something that I did not willingly do. And actually, this is my second time in this internship. The first one of the webinar, why the second attendance form was released. I copied the code and was filling the
Okay.
form out. So as I was about filling it, because I was on transit by then, I was traveling from Enugu town to Obaside. So while I was trying to now fill the form, the vehicle now passed through beyond the area of network coverage, and the network ceased. So throughout the remaining time, the network did not come back again until after about 10 minutes. So when network came back, I tried to rejoin again to do it. By that time, they already giving complimentary greetings and whatever for the end of the webinar. And that was how I lost that attendance. So please, I don't know if Amelia can look into this issue, if there's any way to curb the something, because definitely I believe, just like it affected me the other time, and like I gave example of the network issue I had today. I believe something like that will, one way or the other, affect somebody or some persons in subsequent ones. I'm not praying to be the one, but it's certain. We're in Nigeria, or well, I say most of the interns are in Nigeria, and nothing is reliable in this country. Power failure and the network issues here and there and whatever. So please, I don't know if there's any way they can look into this and see if there's any other way out. Don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Okay, I understand you, Mr. Obina, clearly. But the thing is, these are, how would I put it now? There's no way they'll say, okay, if there's a consideration from that, okay, the only solution that we might give you is that okay, since you noticed, obviously it's not your fault, you had MTN issues, so you should like have another network, like a backup if it's another network provider. That's for this one you just experienced this afternoon. Then the one of the previous one you're talking about. So because you were on transit, I understand probably you're busy, you had to make that movement. So that was why you could not fill that particular form. So if moving forward, since you know there's an important webinar that you must attend, it will just be advised that you try to make unnecessary preparations to be in a good place of network and also have a quick backup if necessary. But the issue of you of how may considering that kind of scenario, I don't think that's possible or doable. Do you get my point?
I understand, but we as an individual, I doubt if one can be able to, have 100% solution to it, because there are important journeys you must have to, and of course sometimes you may find yourself in the church. We have like this weekend now we have program in the church, and you understand, those of us that are Christians, it will be an insult to God that you left church service or program to go outside and attend to whatsoever. So there are many factors. There are many factors. Uh, but if there's nothing you can do, it will take it to our faith. But just that it used to be painful, that at the end of the day, after somebody have taken the pain, the stress and whatever, and maybe just missing one of the attendants, that will disqualify the person. It's really unbearable. It is out of courage that I decided to come to the second one, the second internship. Many of my colleagues, we are in the same WhatsApp group. They say lie, and they can't try it again and all that. So I don't know. What
But
I would like.
okay, like I said, it's just for you to try and make necessary preparations for that. So there's no way how we can, because of that, say okay, they should make a kind of like pardon for that particular incident. So it's just what I just told you previously. So
Okay,
any
please
other
let me
questions? Okay.
the like how many attendance must somebody, that's the minimum number of attendance that somebody must meet up to be qualified for the certificate, or is it that the person just missed one? That will be all.
You must attend all the compulsory webinars as much as we have in the internship, the course of the internship. So you have to attend all. So if you miss anyone, it's also part of the deliverables at the
So
end
if
of the
some,
internship. You're
so
going
if
to get
somebody
the
miss
certificate.
so if somebody miss one, though he got the required score, the person
And every
is not
other thing.
qualified for
Exactly.
certificate.
Yeah. So that's why it's rated like it's as a compulsory webinar. So the information has already been passed beforehand, like in a week time, and there's always constant reminders. So those are part of the deliverables.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Another question?
What if the person missed maybe the first or the second attendance and not the two?
First or the second? Okay. During the course of the webinar, because there are two
Yes,
attendance. If you didn't
yes.
if you missed one, then feed the other one. There's a reason why it's two attendance. You have to meet up all the requirements. So there's no two ways about that. Those are the requirements.
Well,
Okay. Any
that,
other question?
none for now.
Okay. Two judgment, David and Elite, you're welcome. Mr. David and Elite, do you have a question pertaining to the grades or your project or whatever? Like I said before you join, this session won't be like the normal one of 1 hour. This should be like a 30-minute session thereabouts, because leave you guys to go and focus on your projects. That's your premier project preparations and all. And also to reiterate, there won't be an Ask Me session again till on August 29th. So because of your premier project preparations, and also stage C starts 24th of August, not this Tuesday. So only the stage B will round off on Tuesday. Then you'll be given time to focus on your preparation for your premier project, your group meetings and what have you. So this will be the last session till August 29th. So let me just reiterate on that. Any other question? Other question? Like I explained previously before people that are just joining, in the codes, if you notice, that's the results posted on Slack. Some only saw their grade for the quiz, but they didn't saw the grade for the tag along code. That's because of several reasons. First reason, copying of codes. Some people copied each other codes. The second reason was wrong information submitted as your AMU ID. There's also another reason for you submitting a wrong submission, which is you didn't submit the GitHub link. And also, if you submitted a GitHub repository, but it was private, so we couldn't access it. That's four. And also, if you didn't submit your IPYMB notebook, some submitted a PY file, that was Python file, that won't be accepted. And also, some persons submitted the right link and all, but it was just the code. They didn't run the cell to show the results of what your code are doing. So that will still be graded as an empty submission. Then some persons submitted their collab notebook directly from collab. That's a collab link. That's not accepted. And also, one other final thing, somebody submitted their direct local host, Jupyter notebook local host. That's the wrong submission. So the right submission is a GitHub repository, public repository. That is just it. And also, somebody was asking if you can submit a single GitHub repository containing all your different codes. That's acceptable. So far, you name them. The naming convention is correct, like stage A, stage B, and all that. So it's acceptable. You don't need to create multiple repo. It's your choice. You can create multiple repo. You can just use one repo, then push your code to that repo. So that's just to answer by that question. So any other question before we call it a day?
I have a question.
Okay.
Would there be chances of correction so that we can know where we made mistakes?
Okay, I see. Probably this is your first time on Ask Me session. We've answered this question before. Like you
Okay.
said, you can always send an email to Hamoye, that's help@hamoye.io, stating what the issues you might have as a particular question in a quiz or whatnot. Then from there, we'll give you direction on what to do or nudge you to direction. So do you understand now?
Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome. Okoli is just joining. Do you have a question? Any other question? Any other question? Like I said, this session will last for 30 minutes just to give you time to focus on your Premiere project.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the scores in tag-along code stage A,
Okay.
how do we the instruction was Control F to find your code, your ID, but I'm pressing it. I don't know whether I'm pressing Control F. I've not seen any option maybe to input my ID so that it can search for the ID.
You're using your PC, right? That's your laptop, I guess, not on phone.
Yes. Yes.
Normally, if you do a Control F, you see a pop-up like something for you to search. Then you type in your Hamoye ID. It will just find where your ID is and your grade. Or better still, if you don't use Control S is even the short method.
Okay, I've seen it. Yeah, I just saw it now. Yeah.
Then you type in your ID, you get it. That's the fastest method for that. Instead
Yeah,
of using the options at the tab. So that's the fastest method.
Okay. Thank you. I just saw it now.
Okay, you're welcome. Sir David, you have a question?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir.
You're very welcome. Good afternoon.
Thank you. I just want to say, I don't want to commend you for your energy, the energy you put into this work, your assistance thus far has been encouraging.
Thank you very much.
And the question I want to ask is that the webinar that we attended, the compulsory webinar we attended, the scores as the attendance scores, will it be added to stage A or is it for the final? I mean, will it be added to stage B or is it for the final scores for the whole internship?
Okay, for that, this webinar just held on Saturday. It will be added to your stage B scores.
Okay.
It's added to stage B because whatever stage we have important or compulsory webinars, the grade for the attendance will be added to that particular stage. If not, it will always be communicated on how grades are done.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have another question.
Okay, shoot your question.
Yeah, according to the instructions we are given, or let's say the guidelines, you said if you score below 60%, that you are not going to get a certificate for that particular session, as in that particular lesson. So is it the 60%, is it only for the tests that you submitted or both the test and the tag along code like I'm seeing here now, as in the sum of everything.
Okay, for this certificate for a particular stage, that for that course, is the grade of the quiz, just the quiz,
Only.
not the tag, not inclusive of the tag along. So if, for example, in your quiz you had less than 60, this platform will not generate a certificate for you for that particular course, just for that course. Then if towards the end of the internship in different stages, you improved your score, and at the end of the day, you had an overall of 60% or higher, you get your
No,
fellow
I don't know
certificate.
if you really get my
Do you
question.
understand? Okay, let me explain it again. I said for that particular course, that stage, in the
Yes.
quiz, just the quiz, if you have 60% for just the quiz score or higher, you will have a certificate for that particular course. Certificate will be given to you for that particular course, that stage. Then, since you also have a tag along code will not, the tag along code is not inclusive of you of that certificate. So then for that particular stage A, now I'm not talking about the stage A course certificate. So for this stage A, the way the grades are done is a combination of your tag along code and your quiz. So for example, you had 80 in your quiz, then you had 17 in tag along code. So that's 150. So an average of that would be your grade for stage A.
Okay, so the average, if your average passes that 60, you get a certificate for that stage.
For that stage
That's what
in
you
the
get.
quiz, that's what I'm saying, just the quiz, not the tag along code. For example, in the quiz, like if you notice on the scoreboard, we have a column for
Yeah,
quiz,
you
column
have
for tag
quiz,
along.
you have tag along code, and
Yes,
then the stage A total. Yeah.
exactly. So just the column for quiz, if you scored 60 or higher in that column for quiz, the system,
Okay,
as a platform, will generate a certificate for you for that course,
okay,
not
okay.
inclusive of your tag along. So if, for example, you had 80 in just the quiz, you get a certificate. Then you had probably 14 in just the quiz, you won't get a certificate for that course. Then in your tag along, you now had 90. So that one does not matter. It's just only the quiz that
Okay,
matters for that course itself of
okay.
that stage.
Then for the overall, is it only the quiz you are also considering, or both the tag along and
For
everything?
the overall, it's everything, all the deliverables, your attendance to webinars, your premium projects, your capstone projects, tag along code and all. That's for the overall. So what we're talking about for each stage in the course, that's the certificate you get for a particular course, that particular course in the platform is just
Yeah.
of the quiz. So do you
Okay.
understand?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Hello, please, I have another question.
Okay.
I want to ask a question about the Premier project. If my group has a data set that may not necessarily, that is, if we are to build a model, we may not need to use a linear regression. And for now, we have not done any other algorithm other than linear regression and all that. So I don't know, how are we going to go about it?
Okay. If you notice in some of the groups I've seen, what they are working with is not necessarily linear regression, that's regression algorithms. If it depends on your data set. If you see what the problem you want to solve with that particular data set, it's not just regression, even if it's classification, you can go ahead and do your carry on your project. So your team or whatever your group members, you can come together and see a particular problem you want to solve. And it doesn't necessarily mean you must build a model. Depending on the data set, you can just work on data analysis, that's exploratory data analysis, to draw insights from your data, try to see what you're trying to solve. So it depends on the data sets you have in your group. So your group and your team members will come together to see what you want to solve in the problem statement. So I explained this in the previous Ask Me session. So your group, your team members and all will come together and see what you want to solve using that particular data set. So even if it's not a regression, it's a classification problem, analysis, or whatever, you're free to do that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Right. Okay, any other question Mr. David, I thought you had another question.
No, not really. Thank you.
Okay. So, and also if you're a member of a particular team that till now, your team members, because we can see what's going on in the team, your team members till now, you've not particularly settled on a particular data set by this time. You are wasting time because it's just 9 days to go or 8 days to go. So your teammates should be fast, and because some teams here they are still deliberating on the data sets to use or whatnot. There's no time at all. So you should be up and running. And also after this stage B, there's no, we give you time to finish your premium project. Stage C starts 24th of August. So, and also these Ask Me sessions, we will not be having any Ask Me sessions now until August 29th. So you have the time to concentrate with your team members, hold your meetings, whatever time you want to hold your meetings, do your code, submit your code, push your codes, document whatever findings you have and all that, and submit a nice, wonderful project so you have a good grade at the end of the day. So because even if in your team, because in the team we have 30 plus members, so in your team, if you have the active members are less than 10 or 8, you can work with that. In the past, we've seen team with just 3 members. That's just the 3 members are the project leads, assistant project leads, and query analysts. At the end of the day, they presented a wonderful project and they were graded for that. The other members, they were penalized. So even if, no matter the amount of persons responding that are active in your team, you can work with that. You don't need to wait for the full 30 because of which normally the full 30 might not respond. So I just want to throw that now in case there's a question about that. So that's just it. And also remember this stage ends on Tuesday, stage B, which is tomorrow. So you're up and running about that. So any other question? Ibrahim is just joining. You're welcome. Do you have a question, suggestion, whatever? You can just shoot. Question. To reiterate again regarding the tag along codes, and that's the stage A scores we just published. If you didn't see your grades there are so many reasons for that. I just want to reiterate this again. So in the future, you won't say you submitted this, but you didn't see your grade. The recommended submission is a GitHub repository link containing your IPYNB notebook, which is the Jupyter notebook or the Colab notebook. That is the recommended submission. So anything other than that, you won't be giving grades for that. And even if you submitted that, and at the end of the day, we still notice that you copied code or you had similar codes, you just did copy and paste or whatever. Or even if you are smart enough to change some things, you will still be caught. So it's best you try and do it yourself, whatever you are able to do, comment on your codes and all that and submit. At the end of the day, you keep on learning, even if the stage is over, try to do more research and build on what you've learned. So that is it. Because some persons submitted empty repos, some submitted a private repo that we couldn't access. It throws the 404 error. Some submitted a direct collab link. That's laughable. So submitted a direct Jupyter, that's their local PC Jupyter notebook, a local host. There's no one who can access that. While some submitted a Python file, that's a PY file. No, it's just an IPYNB file. And also, in your IPYNB file notebook, your Jupyter notebook, some persons also submitted just the code without running the cell. So that means you just did some monkey business there, just writing the code. You run the cell to see what your code is working on. That's the result of what your code is doing. So you can't expect me to just say, okay, this is what the code is, this answer. No, you must show your workings. That's what the code, you run the cell and so you see the result of what you're doing. So to further iterate on that, to avoid any future hassles. So that's what I just want to explain clearly. Just your GitHub repository notes link. And also you can use one repo to submit your different deliverables, as your tag along code. So far, the naming is rightly done. It has a good naming convention, stage A, stage B, stage C, or whatever. Or you can create a separate repo that's acceptable. So, any other question for who just joined? Any other question? Okay, if there is none, I guess we can call it a day. All right, so I'll leave us to go focus more on our projects. If you have team meetings and all that, there are some teams that are not, they've not even had their meeting. It's quite laughable. They've not done any meeting, they've not, or some have not selected, some are having issues with the data sets. They've not even considered what data set to use. So, okay, Ibrahim, you have a question? You can unmute and ask.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, you're very welcome.
Yeah. I really appreciate the organization of this program. Kudos to them. A million thanks to them.
Thank
Sir,
you.
the last meeting, I was unable to join due to my state of work. So I was unable to join. So and I was told that there's going to be a penalty for that. So I don't know. Is there any way out where I can go about it?
Okay, you were unable to join the compulsory webinar held on Saturday,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, like we said before the webinar, we said it's part of the deliverables. It's very, very important. And attendance were passed.
Yeah.
And not just one attendance, twice, the beginning and towards the ending of the attendance. And like the information passed by Hamoye, that is a very important webinar. And the attendance, if you miss that, even if you miss just one webinar and you didn't attend it, and you got every other thing, at the end of the day, it will be detrimental, you'll be penalized, you won't have a certificate. So that's the penalty for that. And there's no reprieve or whatever solution to that. If you missed it, you've missed it.
But what I'm saying, is there any way I can like cover up for it?
Okay. The only thing I can advise is that you just try and continue with of course, you can continue with the program and try to finish strongly. Then, since you've already missed this, you can pay attention to social media platforms of Harmony to see when there's a next cohort, then you apply for that. After applying for that, then you give your information of whatever happened to you, you will know how to move on for that. But for now, since you already missed a deliverable, it will be detrimental to you at the end of the internship. So I just want to clear that out. Do you understand?
I guess.
So if for example it's affected you in a particular stage, then you finish strongly in the course to the end of the internship, you finished everything. So if you are applying again for the next cohort, you just would give you the further information on what to do about that. That's just what I have to say about that. But since you didn't attend, you'll be penalized for that. Okay. Any other question? Other question before we continue? Okay. So like I said, try and be active in your group and contribute. At the end of the day, you'll be graded from that. So that is the advice I have to give. And this stage B is ending. I just want to reiterate, stage C does not start immediately. Stage C starts 24th of August. There won't be further Ask Me sessions till 29th of August to give you time to prepare well for your presentations and deliverables and whatever and what have you. So that's that for that information. So in the absence of no further questions, thank you very much for joining me today in this session. Mr. David, you are constant attendee. I appreciate you for that. You're very active, so that's good. And also, my name remains Ajulo Christian. the assistant program coordinator at Hamoye and also a data scientist at Hamoye. So thank you very much for today's session. See you next time, 29th of August. And also, like we announced in the Slack channel, moving on from stage C, we'll be presenting some hands-on coding sessions, tracing hands-on coding session for each track. So just pay attention to Slack channel. When that will happen, we'll drop the announcement there on the Slack channel, announcement channel on Slack. So you get to know more about that. So thank you very much for joining me on today's session. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And you too.
You're very welcome.